Hey, this is Brett the Hitman Hart, the best there is, best there was, and the best there ever will be. And you're listening to the Smacked Raw podcast.
Hey there, everyone, and welcome to the Smack Raw Podcast NXT recap episode. My name is Vince. I'm here with, NXT regular of the podcast, Jay Thunder. What's up, dude?
What's up? What's up? You know what it is, man.
Hey, man, you ready to talk some NXT? That was such a great episode, I feel like.
Yes, indeed. It was definitely an amazing episode, especially from start to finish. Everything was action-packed, except for maybe like one or two matches. But other than that,
yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah, can't complain about tonight's episode. But before we talk wrestling, we want to talk wrestling with you guys. So make sure you reach out to the show on Twitter at SmackRawPod. You reach out to me at SESVince. Jay, they can find you at JThunder2009, and that's a capital J and a capital T.
That's right.
And make sure on the YouTube comments section, if you're on the YouTube version, make sure you comment down below, you give this video a like, and you subscribe. And download this episode on Spotify or Apple Music, whichever you use. So give this episode a download if you enjoy this content, so we can try to bring you a little bit more every week. This is a special episode, Jay, because we are going to be gone for 2 weeks. This is the final NXT recap episode of 2019. Next week is a pre-taped episode, so we're not going to be covering that since spoilers are probably already going to be out. And then the following week on New Year's Day, it's going to be the NXT award show. And one thing of note there is that they're going to reveal the winners for the awards, but they're also going to reveal the participants for the Dusty Classic, which is returning in 2020, which I'm excited. I always love the Tag Team Classic. I love tournaments in general. I'm a big fan of wrestling tournaments, and that should be fun. But you're not going to hear us for like at least 2 weeks, so we're going to be gone for a while. So enjoy this one, folks, and make sure you download it. But with that being said, Jay, let's get started with the episode. And we started off with the NXT title match, Adam Cole versus Finn Balor. Dude, what'd you think of the match?
Sorry about that. I had to sneeze. For the most part, I loved every single moment of that match. It was action. It was, to be quite honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen Finn Balor and Adam Cole in a match. I think that was maybe the first time that I've seen them in a match.
Right.
So they were really, really good.
No, man, it was just,
like it seemed like they had like a lot of chemistry.
Dude, I honestly, man, I think it's underrated how good Adam Cole can be, because he doesn't look like he'd be like a very in-ring technician. He doesn't have that, Johnny Gargano, that like Ricochet, that Mustafa Ali feel to him, where you look at them and see someone that can put on a 5-star. He doesn't have that AJ Styles to him, but he has that charisma, that aura, and he's a great storyteller. And even in his time in the Indies, he felt like a WWE kind of guy, and I feel like he's just perfect for what WWE tries to do. And yeah, man, honestly, I couldn't say anything bad about this match. It felt like a takeover match. It was a very intense match between the two. I loved it. It felt like two guys that hated each other, especially Adam Cole, because he felt like Finn Balor was going to be the 5th member of Undisputed Era. He turns on him and like almost takes his title, But what stood out to you in this match, or like what was the big thing about this match that you enjoyed?
Well, the one thing that I enjoyed about the match, it was like the back and forth. Like 1 minute, Finn Balor did something and Adam Cole followed right behind it. Like it was pretty good. Like it was good back and forth, and everything was just on point. Like say for instance, what was it? It was a part of the match where I'd say Adam Cole hit him with a punch. Then wound up happening was after that punch Finn Balor hit him with a sling blade. He tries to get up for the shotgun drop kick in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets hit Finn Balor gets hit with a super kick by Adam Cole. It was a nice transition. Everything was really good.
Oh, for sure. I loved how at the end they made you think that Finn was gonna lose with that last shot kick that he got, and then Finn kicks out. That at that point I'm like, oh man, that was it. That was Cole's best move, and Finn Balor kicked out of it. That's it. It's over. You know, at one point, even like Finn like kicks out of that, but at one point he goes and hits his coup de grace. Like this towards the end of the match, and then he hits the coup de grace, and I'm like, man, that's it. That's over. Nobody's kicked out of the coup de grace. Can't remember the last person that's done that. And then he goes for the 1916, and he sets it up. Honestly, this is what happens when you go ahead and target someone, especially someone as resilient as Johnny Gargano, because he came out towards the end of that match during the 1916 setup and distracted not only Finn Balor but the ref himself, which allowed Adam Cole to escape the setup for the 1916. Low blow Finn Balor, hit him with the last shot and pin him 1, 2, 3 for the match. I'm underselling a lot of the stuff that happened in the match, but honestly, go back and watch it. It was very takeover worthy. It was so intense. Like again, so intense. Like the shotgun drop kick he hit to the outside on Adam Cole. He took out the fans sitting at ringside. I love that that's become his thing now. I think that's great. So hopefully, if I ever go to an NXT show and I'm sitting ringside, I'm not at the section where Finn Balor decides I'm gonna shotgun drop kick my opponent.
Oh no, I want to see that.
Oh, I know you want to see that, but I don't want to experience it myself. But
why not?
I mean, I don't want to get shotgun drop kicked. You know, I just don't want to experience that. But going back into the ending sequence of this match, Adam Cole retaining, I thought it was a smart way to book the match, because these are two, arguably you can say your two top like names in terms of the NXT brand. Obviously you can throw in Ciampa, you can throw in Keith Lee now, and also Johnny Gargano, but these are two of your biggest names, and you put them in the match against each other, and you're in a situation where you're in a lose-lose situation, because you can't like book Finn too strong, you can't book him too weak, and same goes for Adam Cole. I thought the ending was beautiful because it was a protected loss for Finn Balor. He was distracted, then he took a low blow by Adam Cole, and that fits Adam Cole's character perfect to the T, because he's the kind of like opportunistic heel that will do anything to retain his title, which is perfect because now Adam Cole can move on to something else, whether that be Tommaso Ciampa or Keith Lee. He has options now, and it looks like we're gonna get that Finn Balor Johnny Gargano feud going into the next takeover, which is the one we were supposed to have at Takeover War Games here in Chicago. And I'm glad they're still doing that storyline. I'm glad they looped around back to it, and the fact that it was a real injury, but they used it, you know, in terms to tell the story that Finn Balor took out Johnny Gargano. So an injured Johnny Gargano coming back to cost Finn Balor the title, I think is a great story plot that's being told. And I love how he came over there and he basically attacked him with the chair and just like messed him up and got his revenge a little bit. But it doesn't look like we're done with these two. But man, a feud between Johnny Gargano and Finn Balor, that's the match I wanted to see at War Games. I'm nothing against Matt Riddle, but that's the match I wanted to see. I'm glad we're gonna get it.
Oh bro, it is not over with yet, man, I swear.
No, it's not. But let's move on to the next match, which is a match that I didn't even think was going to continue to happen. I figured this feud was going to be over. I'm talking about Damian Priest versus Killian Dane. So it's kind of a grudge match of sorts as well, because it was Killian Dane that injured Damian Priest during their triple threat match at War Games, where he had like bruised ribs or shattered ribs or whatever it was. And this match was supposed to take place, I believe, last week or 2 weeks ago, and they just didn't happen because Priest was injured. So that's when they did Killian Dane versus Pete Dunne. Killian Dane picked up the win there, and now we're actually going to get this match. I don't know, man. It was a brutal match. I love the ending with the Vader bomb and, you know, being reversed with the double knee, and Damian Priest is finished the Reckoning and gets the win. I think that's the right move, because I think Damian Priest, he looks like a stud. He's a star. I can see him being in that North American title picture or that NXT World title picture. Me personally, I'm just not too invested in Killian Dane. I like him. I think he adds to a match, but if it's just a singles feud between him and someone else, I'm just not invested. Honestly, in terms of like, if you look back at Sanity, or the 4 core members between him, Alexander Wolf, Eric Young, and Nikki Cross, he was probably the least interesting one that I cared about. That's just me personally. Nothing against the guy, because I know he's a great talent. I know you being a big man and being a wrestler, I know you appreciate his work and his talent. But honestly, for me, he does nothing for me in that ring, man.
I mean, I can understand that. I feel like when he was Big Damo, I feel like he had more going on for him than what he was doing now.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It was a whatever match. I mean, maybe it was the fact that Finn Balor and Adam Cole just knocked it out of the park and they went pedal to the metal, and then Johnny Gargano returns. So you kind of cooled down and you need to recuperate. And unfortunately, the placement of this match just really didn't do it for me, honestly. I don't know. The one thing of note for me was Damian Priest. After he won, he celebrated. He kind of like did like the title motion, like signaling that he wants the NXT title. So it looks like he might be going into the title picture. And the great thing about NXT is that they're not afraid to put the NXT title on the line on weekly TV, which is something we haven't seen on main roster for a while. So it's something that I really enjoy, and I can see him having a title match against Adam Cole like 3 weeks from now on a random NXT episode. So we'll see. If I get Damian Priest versus Adam Cole, I think I'd be very interested. Sure. I don't know where we go from here. Like, is there anything you want to add about this match, or?
It really, for the most part, I really can't like add too much to it.
Mm-hmm.
You pretty much got it down packed for the most part.
All right, for sure. I mean, like I said, I'm underselling the match. It was a very brutal match. It was good, but it's a combination that I've seen a little bit too much recently, and I know, man. Like, there's just so much character and charisma with Damian Priest, and I just don't see it with Killian Dane. He kind of feels like another big man, like that's a bruiser type of guy, kind of like a Braun Strowman or an Eric Rowan or even a Lars Sullivan. I feel like I've seen this character before in different incarnations. I don't know. I feel like I've seen this before. It's kind of like Killian Dane is Pepsi, and then there's just like another big man version of him. There's always Coke, there's Dr. Pepper, there's RC, and he's Pepsi. And it's like they're very similar to the point where, like, you know what, man, sometimes I want a Jarrito, sometimes I want a Sprite, sometimes I want an orange crush soda, and he just doesn't deliver.
I imagine you just made a drink reference.
Hey, that's man, I'm just saying, man, like, for me, he's kind of like a classic Miller Lite. Sometimes, you want a shot of whiskey. You want some tequila. I know enough. I know enough to get the reference. I mean, come on. I'm a man of taste. I don't want just a beer. All right. Let's move on. I used to. That's besides the point. My point still stands. It's a valid point. But let's move on then. The Dusty Classic is returning, like we said. They mentioned past winners. I'm surprised to see it's coming back. Sometimes they might pair up like two singles guys, so we could see maybe the return of DIY in this tournament. Maybe we could see someone from main roster come to NXT and do something in here, or NXT UK, or maybe even like the 205 Live crew. They can come in here, like you can maybe see the Bollywood boys in this match. But I love tournaments. Like I said, dude, I'm a sucker for tournaments. The King of the Ring, the Mae Young Classic, the Cruiserweight Classic, the Dusty Classic. I love these tournaments. I don't know about you. I mean, you're an old school guy, so I mean, you grew up with the King of the Ring tournament. It's a big deal, right? Like, how do you feel about the concept of tournaments?
Well, the concept of the tournament I do like. To be quite honest with you, the Cruiserweight Classic I have not seen. Neither have I seen the Mae Young Classic or the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been. It's not the fact that I haven't been invested. It's just the fact that sometimes you just don't have enough time to watch
right.
the other way that's going on.
I mean, to be fair, it was a long tournament. That's the one thing I will say is that the Cruiserweight Classic was a very long tournament. It had like 64 people in that tournament. It was forever, man. It took forever.
So for the most part, I honestly would say that I'm looking forward to watching the Dusty Rhodes Classic.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to definitely see
right
what happens,
for sure. And like I was saying, we don't know who's going to be in the tournament yet, but they're going to reveal the competitors in 2 weeks time at the New Year's edition one, or the following episode. That's when they're going to reveal their stuff. At the Year End Award special, that's when they're going to reveal the competitors. I'm more interested to see who's going to be involved in there. I think it'd be kind of dope if they decide to have Ciampa and Gargano together, reunite DIY and win the tournament. I think that'd be dope, but we'll see what happens with that. But let's move on.
I mean, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be really good. That'd be a nice feeling.
I mean, they had a nice little reunion before War Games.
Exactly. So I'd like to see it, especially because we almost saw that reunion with Finn before he turned heel on Gargano and just did his whole heel turn and just destroyed him. So they've teased it before. So I'd like to see a full-fledged DIY face, reunion of sorts, especially since the NXT tag team division is kind of like weak at this point in time, and that's something that I'm interested in. Like, they're doing the tournament, but there's not too many tag teams in there, so we'll see what happens when they do the tournament itself. But let's move on to a division that they're pretty like loaded, and I'm talking about the men's singles division. Kushida versus Cameron Grimes. So Kushida versus Cameron Grimes. No, you're fine. So you got Grimes versus Kushida. We see this play out from last week where Grimes took out Kushida and Kushida took his hat. Kushida came out with his hat, the stolen hat. He wore it to the ring. The one thing I liked about this match was there were so many different styles in this match. It started off as a mat base match, with the ground mat game, and then they transitioned to some high flying, especially on Kushida's part. He did like a senton tope thing to the outside. They had a lot of strong style strikes in there too, from both guys. In the end, man, like a double moonstomp for the win on Cameron Grimes. Shocking victory, if you ask me. If I saw this match on paper, I would have said, oh, hands down Kushida wins, but Cameron Grimes winning, that was a very big surprise to me. What you think?
So I did think that Kushida was going to come out with the win, but it really surprised me, and I was actually okay with the fact that Cameron Grimes won.
Right.
Like it made it, it seemed like it was supposed to happen,
Right. I get you. I don't know. It's just I'm not saying it was a bad decision. It's just a curious decision. I'm curious to see where they're gonna go with it. I'll see where it goes, because like I give NXT a little bit more leeway than I do Raw or SmackDown, just because for the most part, even when there's a monkey wrench thrown in there and they have to change up course and change their plans, they always find a way to like make something interesting. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't think Kushida's the kind of talent that you're gonna push to the moon and have like undefeated streak.
Like you're not gonna push him to the moon, but
I can see him be. I can see him be like.
I feel like he'll be like a cruiserweight champion.
No, man. I think you're underselling. I can see him totally being like a North American champion or an NXT champion. I just don't think right now with like the loaded like talent's loaded up top. You have Cole. You have, Keith Lee, you got Ciampa, you got Finn, you got Gargano, you have Matt Riddle, you have Damian Priest, and Killian Dane if you want to throw him in there, and not to mention like a name like Velveteen Dream, who is out injured and is going to return soon. So it's kind of like stacked up top. I can see him slowly making his way through like the mid card or lower card of NXT, then going into the North American.
Velveteen to come back, man. That's kind of crazy.
2020, man. Velveteen coming real soon, man. But yeah, going back to this match, it was a surprising end to it, but it was a decisive victory for Cameron Grimes. But it might be something where this continues, that the NXT has the way of doing this. So they did a really cool storyline between Angel Garza and Leo Rush, which I have to say has been like probably the best feud in NXT aside from Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler. So there was a lot of intensity in that feud, and it could be something they can add to this Kushida Grimes feud. So we might not be done with these guys whatsoever, but yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. I'm open to the possibilities of that match. So let's move on to the following match we had, which was Io Shirai taking on Santana Garrett. This is, I believe, Santana's second match in NXT. And for me, I felt like it was more of a showcase match for Io, you know, trying to get her on the show, you know, the final NXT of 2019. They want to make sure that they have a match for her, because they actually kind of did like a video package for her. They're really hyping her up, saying that she was voted the breakout star of NXT last year in the year-end awards, and they're pretty hyping her up pretty big to make her seem like she might be the next in line, or want to be one of the next few women next in line to take on the women's championship. So I liked it. It was a good showcase match. You know, Santana Garrett is a great wrestler. She's been around for a while. It was not a squash match by any means, but it was a predictable win for Io Shirai on my end. What did you think?
I thought for the most part, just seeing Io Shirai, because I don't think that, what was it? Maybe it was just me, but did we see her? Did she compete last?
Io Shirai?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, man. Her and Bianca Belair, like Bianca was back last week, but before then, neither two women were on NXT TV since War Games. So the last time she was in Full Sail, you know, in NXT, she was part of the group of NXT wrestlers that came out to celebrate their Survivor Series win. She was just in the crowd. She was amongst some of those wrestlers, but other than that, she wasn't doing anything. And that's the thing.
That's why I was curious, because, you know, I didn't see her last week, and I was like, well, what's going on? No Io? Well, everybody's been like, Io is like extremely over.
Bro, like her, like you look at her and you look at like Keith Lee and Rhea Ripley, those are like the biggest stars out of Survivor Series. Like, dude, like I was disappointed that she wasn't the one to take the title off of Shayna, but man, this heel Io, she's at another level. The entrance is so cool. Dude, Io in general, she's just
love her. I definitely love her entrance. Her entrance is everything.
Yeah, man,
like,
I love it.
Between her and Dakota Kai.
Oh, man, dude, 2019 was the heel. 2019 was the year of heel turns, dude, because we had Daniel Bryan turn heel, and then we had not Rhea Ripley, Dakota Kai, Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, Asuka, Sasha Banks, Bayley. Everyone was turning heel. Oh, Finn. Everybody turned the heel in 2019. So many. Oh, and then now Seth.
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, I guess for the most part though, like I can't be mad at Asuka's heel turn though.
No, I can't. Like honestly, and all the heel turns that happen have been warranted and justified, and for the better. But we'll see what happens with Io. She feels like they're going to be positioning her for like a top spot in the women's division after in the new year, especially once we get to the main event, and I give you my prediction as to what I feel is going to happen next in that women's division. So
right.
Let's move on to the next match so we can get talking about the main event. So the next match was Pete Dunne versus Travis Banks. This is Travis Banks' second match in NXT. Another match where they're like just basically a hype match for the Worlds Collide pay-per-view, which is going to be the Saturday before Royal Rumble, where it's going to be NXT UK versus NXT. I thought it was kind of interesting because they were saying that, you know, Pete Dunne feels more like NXT UK. It's because he spent more time there and he's just recently an NXT guy. It's kind of like how when they were doing the Invasion stuff for like Survivor Series and Street Profits were out there defending Raw to like the moon and back, they were really like no, Raw is our show, when they were only on there for like a couple months and they've been on NXT longer. So you associate Street Profits a little bit more with NXT as opposed to Raw. And the same thing here for me. I associate Dunne more with NXT UK as I do with like NXT main, you know. So it felt more of a NXT UK match in general. So, and it had that kind of vibe to it. I love the chops that Pete Dunne just delivered here. I wrote down that, like, honestly, dude, I'm gonna say it, between him and Walter and like just chops in general, I feel like chops to me are better than super kicks. Like a good chop trumps like a really good super kick. I don't know about you, especially the way.
I definitely get you on that one, because like, to be quite honest with you, like between and maybe you know, I don't know if you noticed this, but between the match with Finn and Adam Cole,
right,
and this match here that we're talking about, those chops were just on point.
Yeah, dude, Dude, and that's the thing about the British strong style, like, or British wrestling in general. There's a lot of chops incorporated in their arsenal and their moveset. And I think a chop is always whether it's a knife edge chop or just like a open hand chop, or like even Keith Lee when he does the double palm chop strike. So I feel like a good chop, if you get a good chop, man, especially Walter and like fucking Minoru Suzuki, they're like up there in terms of chops. So that's just me. And here's the thing. You want to go into the women's division, you want to go to an OG, look at your strategist, man. She made it seem like when she hit that chop, man, that chest hurt for whoever she was in the ring with. So that's just my take on the whole thing. And also too, not everyone can pull off a really good chop. It takes good skill, good timing, just like the right kind of like luck and like just expertise and repetition to master a good chop. But I feel like just about everybody's doing the super kick nowadays, and I know that's how you feel especially. So,
oh my lord.
And here's the thing, a super kick can be cool, but I feel like only certain people can pull off, like, okay, their super kicks are devastating. Like, I want to say the Usos, I want to put in there. I want to put in, like, even Adam Cole does a really good super kick from time to time. I love it when I see like a Yokozuna or a Umaga that hits like a side like super kick or something like that. I love that kind of stuff. Or when the Ricochet changes it up, instead of a regular super kick, it's like a pump kick, or like a bro kick or something like that. So there's different variations. I don't know, man. It's just like the chop in general. I feel like the chop is underestimated in terms of like the wrestling scene, in terms of a strike move, because I feel like a good chop, if you hit it, I don't care how tough of a wrestler you are, if you get hit with a really mean chop, you're gonna collapse.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, but like I'll for the most part, like with I also say what gets me the most is that Pele kick by Samoa Joe though.
Oh yeah. The one in the corner, right? The one where he hits it with the back elbow and then he does like the kick. Yeah,
the Pele kick. It's wild, man. Like,
for sure. No, but yeah, I mean, other than this match, I mean, it was a solid win for Pete Dunne. You know, he wins with the better end. Again, another match where even though Travis Banks did beat Jackson Riker a couple weeks ago, I did feel like this was more of a Pete Dunne match to win, especially given that he lost to Killian Dane in his last outing in NXT. So felt kind of predictable. I was a little out of this match. Not only too, I'm out here trying to like set up for the stream and stuff. So, I mean, I'm gonna admit, you know, I'm sorry, I wasn't too invested in this match. You know, I just wasn't. But you know, it was a solid match. It was really good overall. Solid. It's a solid C+ for me. I thought it was good.
Why weren't you invested in the match?
I think it's just a combination of not knowing Travis Banks too much and knowing that Pete Dunne is probably gonna win the match. It was a combination of both. So it's kind of it's kind of like
I'm sorry, like, but you gotta admit that I'm trying to figure out, because I always forget what Pete Dunne's finishing maneuver is.
The bitter end.
The bitter end. The bitter end on the top rope was pretty amazing.
Yeah. So it's like I said, man. It's just, I mean, you know, it's just like it's peaks and valleys with all this wrestling. You know, sometimes you just like tune out. You know, especially just having social media.
You mean, okay, so you mean how we tune out with the Forgotten Sons?
I don't want to disrespect Travis Banks because he's a great wrestler. It's just, again, like, Io just wrestled. I'm not in, like, I just focused my attention on her. So it really takes like it's just like the Io match. The only reason I was more invested in the Io match as opposed to the NXT UK type match with Pete Dunne, and it was that I like Io Shirai a little bit more than Pete Dunne. Hence, I'm going to be invested in his matches a little bit more, and I'm going to pay attention a little bit more.
So what you got against Pete Dunne, man?
No, nothing. It's just in terms of the hierarchy, in terms of my faves. You know, Io's all the way in the top, and Pete Dunne's somewhere in the middle. You know.
Yeah, I get you.
That's all it is. And you put Pete Dunne in the match with like freaking Damian Priest, I'ma freaking enjoy it. You know, it just depends on who you're in the ring with. You know, I just don't know Travis Banks that much, and Santana Garrett I've seen wrestle here in Chicago a couple of times, so I'm more invested in their match. You know, it's just, you know, continuity, knowing your personnel, knowing the wrestlers involved. That weighs on your engagement in matches like this. But
sure.
But yeah. talking about matches I'm engaged in, the 2 matches that are going to be taking place on the pre-taped episode of NXT next week, which is the Christmas episode. Roderick Strong is going to have an open challenge. He's going to defend his North American title. I don't know who he's going to be. I haven't really looked into spoilers. I'm not really trying to look into spoilers and see who he's facing. I'd rather keep that mystery alive. And I'll be watching next week. And you know what? I might even be watching live.
No, but see, hey, but that's not how we do things around here. You at least got to give like maybe 1 or 2 names what you think.
I don't think it's going to be a big name. I feel like it's going to be some guy that hasn't been on NXT TV for a minute. Because I don't think Velveteen is healthy, because that would have been my pick. I don't think they'll do like a Matt Riddle or anything like that, because I don't think they'd put him in with a big name and have Matt Riddle take a loss. You don't think they'll put Ciampa in there? No, because I think he's after Goldie. He's after the main NXT title. He's not really focused on the North American title.
Isn't he in the Elimination Chamber match too?
Yeah. Not eliminate. You mean War Games, right?
Yeah. No. The whatever. Because I could have swore it was like. There's that I thought I saw maybe I just saw something on Twitter, but I thought I saw something about an elimination chamber.
No.
Maybe it was mock. You never know.
No. I don't think so. But I'm gonna say that maybe it's gonna be like a name that's like a solid wrestler, but isn't like a believable guy to take the title off of him. Because I don't think they're gonna take the title off of Roderick Strong anytime soon. So remember when like Swerve Scott had a title match against Roderick Strong? It was a very good match. It was an up-and-coming name, but you kind of figured that Roddy was going to retain. I feel like that's what we're going to get next week, so it's not going to be too big of a thing. The other match we have is Lio Rush teaming up with Keith Lee to take on Damian Priest and Tony Nese. So it looks like Tony Nese is going to stick around in NXT for a minute. What you think about this match, man? Like, are you hyped at all? I feel like it's going to be an easy win for Rush and Lee.
Well, let's see. We got. Did you say it's Damian Priest?
So it's Damian Priest and Tony Nese taking on Lio Rush and Keith Lee.
I feel like this is going to be a good match. I couldn't tell you who could win.
I'm gonna tell you right now. The way this is gonna end, Keith Lee is gonna hit a spirit bomb on Tony Nese. Because like you look at the 4 guys in this match, and Tony Nese stands out as the guy that's gonna take the pin. I'm sorry,
That's true.
But he just like stands out. And both of these both the Roderick Strong match and this match are gonna be good matches. But again, it's gonna be one of those things where it's like kind of predictable. So another reason why I
want to make sure that I see a final hour.
Yeah,
I want to see that.
We'll see. I mean, it's going to be on TV next week. I heard it's going to be pre-taped, so it's not going to be live. So another reason why we're not going to be on doing the podcast next week. And also, too, I might not be watching live because, it's Christmas Day. A lot of NBA basketball is happening. I might want to watch that. I'll probably just watch NXT the following day. I just might go ahead and catch up on NXT like during the weekend. That's probably what I'm going to do.
You never know. We may have to, maybe do a little podcast on that.
Well, we'll see.
Know.
Maybe. We'll see. So let's move on to the main event.
Cheap plug.
Yeah. Let's plug this main event though. We had Shayna Baszler taking on Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship. My God, was this such a good match? It started off like what I loved about it was that Shayna sold Rhea Ripley as a real threat. Like to start things off, she was kind of hesitant. She was like worried, kind of like a champion, like boxer or MMA fighter, where they're in the cage and they're like, I'm confident in myself, but I'm not taking this person for granted. I'm not taking them lightly because, man, I feel like I can beat them. I know I can beat them. I'm confident, but I'm going to be weary. I'm going to like feel things out at first. And that's kind of how it felt like to me. How did the match feel to you?
I actually felt like this was a very good match. Like I was expecting nothing but the best. And when I first looked at it for a little bit, there were certain points of the match where I was kind of like, that didn't sound right, or that didn't look right, but both of them cleaned it up, and it was really good.
The thing that I really liked, I feel like at this point you kind of have to do that with Shayna Baszler's matches, where like, unless like it's like said by William Regal, or there's a stipulation in place where the horsewomen aren't going to get involved, you know in the back of your head they're going to come out. But what I liked is that they kind of got that out of the way early. They came out, they tried to like play the numbers game. Rhea did like a senton thing to take out the horsewomen. I don't remember what else happened, but like they were out of the equation early on. So they played that domino, they played that pawn, and they moved on from that checkers piece. You know, they moved on with that play. They used it, they got out of the way, so we won't focus on it. And man, like right when you think like Rhea's taking advantage of the situation, she's in control, that's when Shayna Baszler goes after that left arm. She stomps on it. She has her set up, and then she does her stomp on her left arm on top of the steel steps. It just starts going to work with it, man. Like, I love that about a Shayna Baszler match. And you being a wrestler, I'm sure you appreciate like that old school aspect of Shayna Baszler, where she's out there like working the body part. Like, your submission wrestler, that's your expertise. You know, you try to work on the body part, and you hone in on it, and you capitalize on that, and you try to take advantage.
It just shows her character, you know. It's either because how is it that she says it? She says either
you're gonna nap, you're gonna
snap,
or tap. Exactly.
Yeah. So like I feel like, you know, it put her where she need to be. But I will say this though. I tried to not, you know, interrupt you, but I had just wanted to say that, you know, that Kevin Ball that Rhea Ripley did to Shayna Baszler's Goonies was freaking amazing.
Oh yeah.
I thought she almost hit the steps at one point.
No, yeah, and what I liked about it is that like you said, she took out the rest of the horsewomen and was able to like make it a singles match. And at one point, you know, the ref gets taken out, and Shayna hits the riptide, I believe, for the 1, 2, 3. The ref count. There's no ref to count it, but the crowd's counting 1, 2, 3. They get to like a 7 or 8 count or so.
Yeah, they got to like a 6 or 7 count. And you know, the funny thing is that while I was watching the match, I didn't really catch when the ref got knocked out. So right. When I'm sitting here thinking, you know, when Rhea pins her, when Rhea goes for the riptide and she pins her, all I see in the corner is a leg, and I'm like, oh man, the ref's out.
Right. So I actually didn't even see also like what led to the ref being taken out. So like, again, I can't answer that for you, but you know, going on from what we were saying, like I loved how like afterwards like it spills over to the outside. You know, Rhea tries to do another like cannonball senton thing, but she misses this time. Shayna realizes the situation, realizes that there's no ref, and she goes for a steel chair, and she actually ends up using this. She hits a DDT on Rhea Ripley with the steel chair, and I gotta be honest, man, right then and there, I thought it was over. I thought, like, there's no way they're gonna have her kick out from a chair DDT spot, but sure enough, 1, 2, and she kicks out. Like, the crowd erupted. And here's the one thing I will give Full Sail is, because it's so intimate, it's a smaller venue, there's a bigger pop, there's a bigger, like, you can hear like the excitement of the crowd way better as opposed to like a big stadium or arena like that, right? So that's one thing that made this match go from a solid good match to a great match, was the crowd just losing their minds when Rhea Ripley was kicking out. And from there, like DDT kick out, and they go into the core for the clutch. That's where Shayna goes into the core for the clutch, and this is where the crowd really gets involved. They're over here, they're going crazy, they're going ballistic, they're chanting, they're like being loud. And man, dude, Rhea Ripley was in that clutch forever, dude. I thought if the DDT didn't end her, I thought that clutch was gonna tap her out. She was either gonna tap out or just like pass out.
And I just love the selling on Rhea Ripley. She did it amazing. Like, but I think the best part, and I feel like you should have gotten this as a thumbnail, was the part where Rhea Ripley, you know, got up and Shayna Baszler's eyes was literally just wide open. Like that told the story. Like I feel like that should be a thumbnail for this for this podcast.
Right. I mean, if I can find it, I'll try to, man. But that's the thing, man. You got to try to find the internet and go scour the internet to try to find it. But we'll see. It was a great visual. Like I said, Shayna Baszler really selling Rhea Ripley as a legit threat, and Rhea being in that clutch for so long and then finally being able to escape. I like how they did I love how they used to do this back in the day, and we didn't see it too much in the 2010s when they do the whole like raise their hand and then they like if it falls straight to the mat, that's it, they're done. Or if they like stop their hand from like touching the mat, like they're still going in the match. I love that little like storyline thing. It's a nice like cliffhanger thing to like get the crowd involved.
At one point in time, it used to be like a point where like they would lift their hand like
3 times
for 3 times.
Yeah,
but I don't see that anymore.
Yeah, and it's just something that we lost like in the late 2000s and the early 2010s, and they brought it back. And what I loved is that when her arm came down the second time, she grabbed onto the ref, and like the ref's like, holy shit, let me go, like leave me alone. And right there, like Rhea hits like a second wind and she escapes, and the minute she escapes, oh my gosh, dude, those vicious Daniel Bryan like stomps that she delivered to Shayna Baszler. She puts her in the prism, the prism submission hold, and right there you're like, oh man, is she gonna make Shayna Baszler tap out? That'd be the ultimate disrespect to Shayna Baszler being a submission specialist, and she has to tap out.
I feel like that would be the ultimate. I feel like that would be the ultimate payoff, though.
Oh yeah,
let her tap out. That would have been an ultimate payoff.
I think. Okay, so we'll get to that. I mean, okay, I'll tackle it now. So I feel like that's gonna be the ultimate payoff, because I don't think this is the ultimate payoff. I don't think this is the final showdown between these two. So let's go on with the match. So they fight. They end up getting to the corner, and they're at the top rope, and Shayna has the upper hand, but she gets headbutted by Rhea Ripley. She hits the avalanche riptide. 1, 2, 3. New champ Rhea Ripley.
I didn't think I thought she was gonna kick out.
Dude, here's the thing. When she didn't kick out, I was almost like shocked. Like I had like a shocked reaction. It was more like, wait, hold up. Is this for
like that Undertaker?
Yeah.
Was it like that Undertaker one? It was like,
so you know that one meme of Usher where he's like, wait, what? Stop playing. Put that on everything. For real?
Yeah.
Damn. That's how I felt when this happened. It was more like, wait, hold up. For real? Swear. Put that on everything. I'm over here. I couldn't believe that she had actually won, and that was a great moment. The crowd erupted. That's what's great about having these like kind of moments in Full Sail as opposed to having them like in a big arena, is that if you look at past victories like a Sasha Banks or like a Bayley, like they happen here in Full Sail, and it's like, man, the crowd just really gets invested. Like when Sami Zayn, he beat I don't know if you were watching back then, but Sami Zayn, he beats Adrian Neville at the time, and the crowd just explodes. Or like Kevin Owens turning on Sami Zayn, it was incredible. And I feel like Full Sail, like as long as the ratings hold up and are on par with AEW, I feel like there's no need for NXT to move out of Full Sail. I feel like they should make that their home base and keep it there.
I mean, especially considering the fact when talent like myself, wants to go there soon.
Right, exactly.
We can literally go to that one spot. I don't have to worry about, I can just move to Florida.
Right, exactly. So, but yeah, man. So Rhea Ripley, new champion. How do you feel about that?
I was. I don't know. I don't know if you remember me talking about this before we, got to this episode, but I said that Rhea Ripley has really grown on me a lot. I like what she's doing, and I want to see more. I want to see what she can do.
Right.
I want to see, because I feel like she has so much potential to do great things, especially her style. I do like it.
Mm-hmm.
She is, another edition of this women's revolution that, we have here in NXT. And I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do.
For sure, man. For sure. I mean, so like I said, she wins and she feels like a big star. So it looks okay. It looks like she's gonna be like the person that's gonna hold on to that women's title for like a minute, at least until WrestleMania, because the way that show ended, where like the entire locker room, the entire staff, the roster flooding into the ring and celebrating with her, it looking like a legit mosh pit up in there, and they carried her on the shoulder. She was celebrating the turnbuckle. It felt like the passing of the torch, and this is a big win because Shayna Baszler won this title last year at Evolution. She's held it for over a year now, so I think she might have surpassed Asuka's reign, if not got close to it. So she was in line to like surpass Asuka's reign. So
isn't she like a 2-time women's champion?
Yeah, she's also a 2-time women's champion, because she had the title reign. She lost it to Kyrie, and she picked it up like 2 months later at Evolution. So she's a 2-time champ. She's the second longest reigning women's champion in NXT history, probably one of the greatest women's champions in NXT history, period. So my big thing is, you were saying like the ultimate payoff would be if like Rhea Ripley was able to like make Shayna tap out with the Riptide. I don't think this is the last match we're gonna see of these two. They might go ahead and have a rematch at the next Takeover, or at the Worlds Collide event, and they have this title match. Because okay, spoiler alert, I think Shayna Baszler is getting called up. I think she's being groomed to go to the Raw or SmackDown. More likely SmackDown. I feel like NXT is going to be involved in the Royal Rumble this year. I think it's going to be like 10 women from NXT, 10 women from Raw, and 10 women from SmackDown. And I feel like Shayna Baszler is going to come in there, and she's going to win that Royal Rumble, and she's going to challenge Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's title. And that's going to be our match at Mania. It's going to be Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch. And I think that's where we're going with this. I feel like Shayna Baszler is going to put over Rhea Ripley one more time. She's going to get a rematch, given that she lost the title. But I think she's moving on to Raw, dude. And this felt like a passing of the torch. It felt like, hey, my time's over. You're the next standard bearer of the women's division here in NXT. Make me carry on the tradition. Carry on the torch. That's how I feel like to me.
I mean, I think that's a very good observation. I feel like there's one more thing that does need to be done, especially considering, Shayna Baszler made Rhea Ripley pass out. So we got to get more payback than that.
Right. So she did the first step, taking the title, and I don't think they're done by any means. I don't think tomorrow Shayna Baszler is going to go to Raw or something. I feel like if Shayna Baszler does move up, it's going to be, like I said, she's the weight. Because here's the thing, if you establish that NXT is a third brand, why would you leave a third brand to another brand? Because if they're all on equal playing field, if they're all on par, why would you want to go to a SmackDown or a Raw unless it's to settle a score? And if you remember the way Survivor Series ended, Shayna Baszler won, but she was put through a table by Becky Lynch. So that's how you move her to Raw. And I'm sorry, but Raw needs bigger names. Like they lost lost Sasha, they lost Bayley. They don't have Ember Moon right now. Right now they're doing Asuka in there, but I don't think they're gonna put the title on Asuka. And Charlotte versus Becky, we've seen that to no end. There's no other face or like big name that now.
Hell, they put them in a tag team match for the women's title.
Exactly. So there's nothing going on.
Tag team titles.
And here's the thing, Becky Lynch, I feel like she's more like Stone Cold, where she's better chasing the title as opposed to being champion. Like you don't remember like a very memorable like Austin Reign, but you remember him chasing the title. You remember him like trying to like rise against like the authority of Vince McMahon and the corporation. So you remember that. And I feel like Becky Lynch, like she's probably gonna be in a title match with Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler is gonna carry that Raw Women's title after Mania. That's just my prediction. I feel like she's moving on to the Raw Women's division because honestly, right now they need her. And if you look at NXT, look, if Shayna's indeed moving on, kudos to her, standing ovation, thank you, because she really helped establish this women's division. If you look at NXT, it's loaded, it's fucking stacked. If it's not NXT, Impact Wrestling or NXT have the best women's division in all wrestling. And man, it's all thanks to Shayna. She really helped that. She helped like keep the ship afloat while everybody else was developing and getting better.
Hey, I agree with you, man.
For sure, man. I mean, okay, so we talked about the full match. We talked a little bit about what's going to happen next week, you know, given that we're not going to recap it. Is there any last thing you want to like add about today's episode of NXT?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to send a shout out to our boy Kevin Crazy, who was supposed to be with us tonight, but he couldn't make it. So definitely shouts out to that man, because he is amazing. Our Kevin Owens doppelganger.
Yep.
Shout out to him.
For sure. No, yeah.
For the most part, I enjoyed every single part of NXT. You know, I can't wait. I'm actually quite kind of sad because, you know, this is our last NXT for the year.
It's our last NXT for a while, Ashley. We're going to be gone for at least 2 weeks.
We're going to be gone for 2 weeks, man. Like, we're going to be gone for 2 weeks. So that means we don't get to be on this wonderful podcast and talk about wrestling. So, I will say this. Vince, my man, thank you for, you know, having me on this podcast. And, you know, I look forward to 2020.
For sure, man. No problem.
Especially considering the fact that, you know, it'll be my first full year on this podcast. You know, I'm looking forward to bigger and better things for Smack Raw, you know?
For sure, man. I mean, I couldn't say it better myself, man. I couldn't ask for a better co-host for the NXT podcast. I feel like legit you're the Shawn Michaels to my Triple H. I can't really do this podcast, you know, without you, man. I need my right hand man. Like you were saying, we missed Kevin. You know, we're sorry, Kevin, that we took so long to try to like get up and running and record, but you know, we got the podcast out. You know, at least you got to watch a banger episode.
In Vince's defense, it wasn't on him; it was on me. You know, when it comes down to the fact of, you know, working and, you know, working 2 jobs and, you know, just trying to get home so you can watch. You have to scramble to watch NXT and then come in and try to do this podcast. Hell, I have to go to work in the morning as we speak. So in about a couple of hours, I have to get up and go to work. So, you know, but at the end of the day, it's worth it because, you know, I get to come in my room every single time the NXT comes on, and I get to sit here with my co-host Vince and do the damn thing like we always do.
For sure, man. For sure. I mean, dude, I'm gonna miss it. It's gonna be weird, but I think it's gonna be a nice break. I feel like it's gonna be nice enough. It's gonna rejuvenate us a bit. We're gonna be back with more NXT coverage on the Smack Raw podcast.
I mean, especially considering the fact that, you know, we just had War Games, Survivor Series, and then, you know, all this wrestling going on. Remember, we went to AEW. You know, it was a lot going on these past couple months, man.
For sure, man, for sure. And I mean, like, obviously, we're going to do, like, weekend recaps, you know, given the holiday weekend that's coming upon us. We might be doing, like, a Saturday or Sunday podcast where we just recap the entire week of wrestling. We might be doing that for 2 weeks straight. Not entirely sure. I don't want to put anything set in stone because I don't make all the decisions by myself. It's a team effort. It's a collective voting. So we'll see what's up. We'll keep you guys updated on our Twitter, which you should follow at all times, at SmackRob Pod. You can find me at SES Vince.
Wait, can I do the outro? Can I?
Yeah,
just one time.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Sweet. Like, I've never done the outro before. Okay. Try it. Hey guys, this is Jay Thunder, your man here. I just wanted to let you guys know that I will be in Ottawa, Illinois. We're going to be doing a charity show. If you guys want to hear more about it, you can check me out at JThunder2009 on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to, just for a little secret of mine, you can actually check me out at JThunder2009 on my Snapchat. For more information, just let me know. You can follow Vince on SES Vince on Twitter and I think Instagram as well.
Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed. So from all of you out there listening to us, and for everybody at Smack Raw, we want to wish you a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. Thank you for listening.
Oh, definitely. And not only that, a Happy New Year. We'll see you guys in 2020, guys. Later.